Hey guys, YouTuber Nerd here. Alright, now here I am continuing on with my reviews for the Planet of the Apes movies. Continuing looking at the original Planet of the Apes series, now here I am with a review for Escape from the Planet of the Apes. So, out of the original Planet of the Apes sequels, this is probably looked at by many to probably be the best of the original sequels, and yeah, this is actually a pretty good film, I think. I mean, yeah, I think that the story that this film tells is actually like a pretty good story. This is like I said in my last review, like after this is like when the film started to like kind of have a different turn on them. They started to take a different turn. Yeah, while the first two films did like kind of like have the same type of story, how Beneath the Planet of the Apes did like continue the events from the original movie. This is where like the films start like kind of taking like some different stories, and it starts here with this movie. This really doesn't have like really much of a connection with the first two movies. This shows that Cornelius and Zira actually did escape the planet, and before like it was destroyed at the end of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and apparently they actually ended up like time traveling back in time to 1973. So yeah, while like the first two movies took place in the far distant future, where like apes were the dominant species on Earth, this really goes back to like the modern times, and is really like set pretty much like around the time that this movie was originally released. So yeah, this is really like known as the where it still is like humans are like dominant, and yeah, the population is humans rather than apes. So yeah, it's really set in pretty much like the present time rather than the distant future. So yeah, it's interesting to see like the Planet of the Apes film like take this style approach where like it just seems like the apes with like Zira and Cornelius, they're like pretty much looked at to be like aliens pretty much in this film. And so yeah, this is like a really like interesting take for this film, and I really do think it is like a pretty interesting. Yeah, really in this film like Cornelius and Zira really are just the only two original characters to return in this film, and yeah, pretty yeah, really like everyone else is like a brand new character. It's just like new characters, and here like you have a like the two like scientists in this film, Dr. Branton and Dr. Dixon, who like end up befriending Cornelius and Zira. And yeah, the villain is like he's like the a science advisor, Dr. Hessline, and so yeah, pretty much like he's like leading. Well, he's not leading, but he's like part of the presidential commission and stuff that really like do kind of like see like Zira and Cornelius kind of as threats, and yeah, they really don't know what to think of them, and they eventually like in this film it like comes across that they are decided to just be used as a just to be sterilized, and so yeah, they end up like being confined later on, and yeah, in this film also like it's shown that Zira is pregnant in this film, and she eventually ends up giving birth to a baby chimp, and yeah, it's kind of like a interesting thing on what happens with her baby, which I will get to later on in this review. And so yeah, basically like in this film, like I was saying before, it's like how it's pretty much like a reverse premise that the original two films had, where now like it's really more like just a regular setting with the humans. So yeah, pretty much it's here it's just like set in just really the present time, and just Zero and Cornelius are really looked at to be like aliens and stuff. Uh, and yeah, and it's shown that like they're like people are just like really like just amazed at the fact that Zero and Cornelius really are just intelligent lives, and like really how they really are from the future and stuff, and they really become famous over it in this film. And so yeah, it's really just like a different take on the Planet of the Apes story, but yeah, I think that the story is actually told like pretty well overall. So yeah, it is like a pretty good film, and I really did think like the ending was actually like pretty tragic. Yeah, I mean, I just really did like see this ending to actually be like kind of sad. So yeah, but I will talk about the ending when I get to it in this film. But yeah, it is like a pretty good film overall, I think. So yeah, I would give this film probably 3 stars out of 4. I mean, yeah, not as great as the original film, but yeah, I do think that it is like overall better than Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And yeah, this probably yeah, and like I said, this is like regarded by many to probably be the best of the original film sequels. So yeah, I do think it is a good film overall. All right, so yeah, let me just get right into the story and just go over the premise. All right, so as the film opens up, it does show that Cornelius Zira, along with like the one of their uh, other companions, Doctor Milo, they ended up like escaping the Earth before the destruction at the end of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, like I said. And then, yeah, they traveled, like, back in time to 1973, so, yeah, they then arrived in the 1973 in the Pacific coast, and, yeah, they ended up, like, being found by, like, like an army of some kind, and so, yeah, they ended up, like, being like taken to the Los Angeles Zoo, and then they ended up being observed by the two scientists, this Dr. Branton and Dr. Dixon, and yeah, at first like in private, like Zira, Cornelius, and Dr. Milo were then just like explaining their situation to each other, and then like at first that they were planning to like not let the humans know that they can speak, he can also like not to reveal like anything that happened in their time with like the ape war and the destruction of Earth and everything. But during the observation, as like they were being experimented, then like Zira ended up like exposing their ability to speak and everything out of patience, and so and yeah, and eventually like as Dr. Milo was arguing with Cornelius and Zira, then another or one of the zoo's gorillas ended up just like killing Dr. Milo, and so then yeah, and of course like Cornelius and Zira just were really unhappy about it, and then like then Dr. Lewis was then just well yeah Dr. Lewis Dixon, yeah that's his full name, as he was like just talking with the apes then and like he just told them that he would treat them as equals, and yeah, they then like uh, Cornelius and Zira, and then Dr. Branton, Dr. Dixon, then then were like acquaintances now. Yeah, and eventually like a presidential commission hearing was called, and like they were trying to investigate like the return of Taylor's spaceship because yeah, I guess like this was during the time when Taylor had actually like traveled into space and would lead to like the events in the first film. Um, and then yeah, Cornelius and Zira then were like called before the commission, and then yeah, their ability to speak was then revealed to the public, and yeah, they were Cornelius and Zira then were just like saying that they didn't know anything about Taylor. They were trying to keep that a secret, of course. And yeah, then they then just explained how they were from the future and then they escaped from the Earth when war broke out. And yeah, the government then like welcomed them as guests, and then yeah, Cornelius and Zero then were just like secretly told Doctor Dixon and Doctor Branton that they did actually know about Taylor, and then yeah, they were just explaining to them like how humans are treated in their time, how they're basically treated like animals and they're dissected and all that stuff. And yeah, they also brought up the destruction of Earth to them, and of course like the two of them were just shocked about it, and yeah, they were then just telling Zero and Cornelius to just keep it a secret until they can gauge the potential reaction. Yeah. And then yeah, as time passed on, then Cornelius and Zero then were just like looked at as celebrities, and yeah, they just like were like really famous to the public, and yeah, they were just like given like gifts and media attention and all this stuff. And then after like the science advisor, Dr. Otto Hasline, and like was the was advised of all their uh, of Cornelius and Zira. He eventually ended up like discovering that Zira was pregnant, and then he then like had a concern for the future of the human race, and so then and yeah, he was then just like trying to like give Zira some champagne, and that she now like had a taste for, or then it just ended up like loosening up like her inhibitions and questions, and he ended up like questioning her further, and then yeah, she then like ended up like enabling him, just like convincing like other commission that Zero and Cornelius should be subjected to like more rigorous questioning. Yeah, and eventually like Cornelius ended up revealing that the human race will end up causing like its own downfall. And like the simians will eventually dominate the world after like Hasselline just wanted to really like to know like how the apes actually do become dominant over man. Yeah, and yeah, Zero like then just was explaining that the gorillas actually did start the war, and orangutans did support are also supporting the gorillas, but the chimpanzees like didn't have anything to do with it. And like Hasselline just like really didn't believe that, and just suspected that they weren't like really telling the full truth for it. Yeah, and then later on, then after like it was actually, well, yeah, after like hearing about the dissection of humans and stuff, then Lewis was then just ordered by Hasselline to just administer a truth serum to Zira, and yeah, Cornelius tried to stop it, but he was taken in a way, and pretty much then just like put in confinement, and then and yeah, as then Zero was given the truth serum, like Zero ended up basically like then just like revealing all of the knowledge of Taylor and just the human examination and experimentations that they did and stuff. And then yeah, after finding about that, then and yeah, Zero then was put in confinement with Cornelius, and yeah, Hasselline then just told all his findings to the president, and then now like then the council then like had a ruling to have a Zero's pregnancy terminated and stuff, and then yeah, Cornelius then just like labeled Hasselline and the others just savages is for what they did to Zero and what they plan to do. But yeah, Zero like also like reminded Cornelius that she ended up like doing the same thing to humans, of course, and Taylor like referred to them as savages as well. So yeah, basically like like Cornelius is thought of like the apes because of what they're doing, the same way Taylor thought about the apes because of what they do to humans. So yeah, it basically is just really the first film just in reverse. It's basically looked at as just like the first film with now like yeah, basically how the apes in this film, well, Cornelius and Zero, are really looked at the same way that Taylor and the other humans were. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to pretty much see a role reversal pretty much of the first film. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, Zero also like admitted that she was relieved to finally be telling the truth because she was tired of lying. And yeah, Cornelius then just like was afraid that the truth may end up getting them killed. And then later on, like an orderly arrived, arrived, and then he was like offering Zero and Cornelius food, and then like after he like was like joking around about the unborn child, then yeah, Cornelius then that just caused him to snap, and he ended up just knocking the orderly down, and he just at first he just thought that he knocked the orderly out cold for him and the two of them to escape, but yeah, it turned out that he ended up like inadvertently killing the orderly. And so after like finding this out, Hasselline then just used this to support his claim that the two of them are a threat, and then he basically just called for an execution. But yeah, the president just ordered him to bring them alive, and he was not going to endorse the punishment for the orderly's death until like the due process was served. Yeah. And yeah, Brandon and Dixon then like helped Zero and Cornelius escape, and then they ended up taking them to a circus run by this guy Armando, who's played by Ricardo Montalban. Yeah, and then yeah, it's shown that there's another ape there, Heloise. She gave birth to a baby chimp, and then that's where Zero also gave birth to her baby also, and then it turned out to be a boy, and so she ended up naming him Milo after after of course Dr. Milo. And then yeah, Hasselheim then eventually found out that Zero did have her child, and then yeah, he then called for a search for all circuses and zoos, and then Armando then just like insisted that Zero and Cornelius just leave the circus for their safety, and then yeah, it was then just like arranged by Dr. Dixon for them to just hide out in a shipyard in the Los Angeles harbor until it was clear for them to come back to the circus when it would leave for Florida. And yeah, Cornelius was also given a pistol at his request. That's because yeah, they didn't actually want to be taken alive. So yeah, he was given a pistol pretty much to defend himself and protect him and Zero. And then eventually then Hasselline then tracked them to the shipping yard, and yeah, he then came across Zero and the baby, and uh, yeah, at first then like he was then just like threatening to shoot Zero unless she gave him the baby, but she refused, and so then Hasselline ended up shooting Zero and wounding her, and then yeah, Doctor Brenton and Dr. Dixon like was witnessing that along with like other army members, and then after, then Hasselline also ended up like shooting the baby several times, but then eventually Cornelius then ended up shooting Hasselline, killing him. But then yeah, as Hasselline was shot, then Cornelius ended up being shot by a sniper, and he ended up falling down to his death. And then as Zero was like on her dying breath, she ended up just tossing the baby overboard, and then yeah, she ended up just like walking over to Cornelius, and then just fell on him, and yeah, they ended up like dying together. So yeah, Cornelius and Zero died in this film. So yeah, it's basically like the last of the original characters. I mean, yeah, now like all the characters from the original movie are now just gone. I mean, yep, Taylor and Nova were killed in the previous film, and now in this film, like yeah, Cornelius and Zero are dead. So yeah, pretty much from here on out, yeah, after this, like all the original characters, they're gone. Yeah. Yeah, and then the movie then just ended with as Armando Circus then was packing up to leave for Florida. It showed like the who that Heloise's baby was still in the cage, but then it was revealed that Zero had actually like switched the baby, so it was actually like Milo in the cage, and he was starting to talk. So yeah, I guess like this showed that yeah, Zero I guess like protected her baby and let him live. So yeah, but it's still kind of sad to see that another baby chimp had been killed, and it wasn't even like Zero's child. So yeah, that's kind of sad too. But yeah, in the end, like I guess Zira and Cornelius ended up saving their child from being killed. So yeah, baby Milo had lived on. So yeah, and then that's how the movie ended by showing that Milo was still alive. So yeah, and that's how the film ended. So yeah, so like I said, 3.5 stars out of 4. I mean, I did think that this was a pretty good story and an interesting kind of turn for them to really like take it on a different approach, have it go back in time to where it is still like human population rather than apes. So yeah, I did think that it was interesting, an interesting take, and yeah, I really did think that the story was told pretty good, and it had some real cool, like heartfelt scenes, especially like with the ending with Cornelius and Zira being killed and stuff. And I did think that there was a pretty good connection between them, along with Dr. Brayton and Dr. Dixon. And so, yeah, I did think that there were some pretty good connections here. And yeah, I think like in here, it is like I think it's more tragic here when Cornelius and Zira died rather than how in the second film when like Taylor and Nova and Brent were killed. Because yeah, you could really like make the argument that there's like we were able to form a better connection with them, with Zero and Cornelius, than we did with the human characters from the first two films. So yeah, I couldn't really make the debate that the death with Cornelius and Zero in this film is even more tragic than the humans from the original film. So yeah, I really do feel that way, and so yeah. Yeah, and like I said, with after this, just yeah, all the original characters are now gone. So, how would they do? Where would the franchise go from here with the next film? Well, we'll find that out when I talk about the next film, the franchise, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, coming up next. So yeah, stay tuned for that coming up next as I continue these reviews. Yes, but yes, nonetheless, this is still like a pretty good film, and yeah, just like how I did with uh, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. If you haven't seen this film before, I would recommend it. I mean, if you want to really see a different take than how like the original two films were, then yeah, you'll definitely get a pretty good story and a pretty good film out of this one. So yeah, I would recommend this one too. All right, so yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say about it. So it's just a pretty good film overall. So yeah. All right, so yeah, so that does it for my review of Escape from the Planet of the Apes. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review and stay tuned as these reviews continue on. So yeah, so that does it for this review. So I hope you guys enjoyed. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.